Hey Mixers, welcome back to another NFL player props video. The Thursday game was crazy. I mean, Green Bay just looked absolutely lethal. We did have a couple wins, couple losses, so let's jump into that. And then I'm going to give you a couple more bets that I have for this weekend. I have already given some out, so let's jump into that. All right, so the bets that I gave out as the official bets went 1 and 2. Jordan Love had 19 completions, so that was over the 18.5, but it did not go over the 19.5 line, which it was bouncing back and forth between that 18.5, 19.5 line all day yesterday. Josh Jacobs under 19.5 rush attempts. Obviously, he had 23. At one point, it felt like the Commanders weren't even playing the game, and it was just Jordan Love versus Josh Jacobs, because he would get one, and then Josh Jacobs would get a rush, and then Jordan Love would get a pass, and they were like neck and neck the whole game practically. So that's how it felt for me because of these bets. And then Austin Eckler, that is the frustrating one because he had 3 receptions in the first quarter of the game. The third one was called back for a penalty, and then he never got another reception the rest of the game. Obviously, he left the game early with about 4 minutes left with what could be a serious injury. Hopefully he's okay. But that was a frustrating loss since he had 3 catches in the first quarter. So, we'll just have to take the loss, though. So that brings our total player prop run up to 13, 15, and 2, which is only 46.43%. We can do better than that. These are some side bets that I also made that I didn't give out. So Noah Brown under 5 fantasy score. He only had 1.9. And then Micah Parsons under half a sack. I don't know what possessed me to take him under half a sack. But anyway, he got half a sack, so he tied this one. And then I put that with the WNBA prop. So that those paid 3x. And then this one over here, I obviously lost. Terry McLaurin for 21.5 longest catch paired with the Josh Allen promo on better. So I just wanted to show you that, I have these other, like this other winning prop, this other tie prop, and then this other losing prop as well that I just didn't give out. All right, these are the bets that I've already given out for like the Sunday, Monday slates. Like these are the early props that I gave out. And I like to do that every week because the lines do move. And then let's jump into some more early props. So what I have for you here is Chris Boswell and Jason Myers combined for over 50.5 longest field goal. Last year, Jason Myers didn't really do much to hit this. He was only 4 for 8 on 50-plus yard field goals. And Boswell was 13 for 15 last year. And then Boswell is already 2 for 2 this season. So he's already hit this twice in the game against the Jets. And last year, he was able to hit it he tried 15 times and hit it 13 times. So I like one of these guys to get over. I also think this game might be won by a field goal, just considering the spread, considering the teams that are playing, both more defensive-minded teams. Should be kind of close and then be decided by a field goal, hopefully, for this one. This is probably my favorite one. CJ Stroud over 63.2 completion percentage. I've also seen it at 63.5. So anyway, he had 70.4 last week against the Rams in what was really a pretty ugly game. And his average last season, which is probably why we're getting this number, was 63.2%. So that was his average from last season. The season before, obviously, he played a little bit better. He was over in 13 of 19 games last season, which is 68% of the time. He just had a couple of bad games that really dragged that average down. Penix just had 64.3% against the Bucs in week 1. And the average of all quarterbacks against the Bucs last season was 66.4. So I just think this is a little bit too low for CJ Stroud, and I love it. All right, Daniel Jones under 20.5 completions. This one is, I'm not necessarily in love with this one because obviously he has gone over this quite a lot. This chart is showing his home games. Obviously, he was playing home with the Giants in some of these games last year. So his average is 21.4 at home, which would be over this number. But this is more a bet on the Broncos D. I think I've told you in previous videos. Last year against the Jets defense, I took the opposing quarterback under their completions for like 5 weeks in a row. And then the 6th week was Josh Allen, so I didn't bet it, and Josh Allen busted that trend. And then after that, the Jets defense started to fall apart. So I never went back to the trend. But that's what the trend I'm going to ride this year with the Broncos D. So the first game, I took Cam Ward under his completions. He only had like 12. And so now we're taking Daniel Jones under his completions. If you don't want to tell me, no worries. We can see how this week works out. And then if the trend hits, then maybe you jump on board with me in week 3. All right, the last one here, Ashton Jeanty under 17.5 rush attempts. Jeanty had 19 in week 1 against the Patriots, but the Chiefs had 17 total carries in week 1 against the Chargers last week. That's, including Patrick Mahomes carries, including Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco. I think a couple of the receivers had a couple carries. So all of those added up were only 17. Last year against the Raiders, like in the Chargers-Raiders matchups, the Raiders only had 13 and 6 for their leading rusher. And the year before that, they had 17 and 17. So, and one of those was with Josh Jacobs. And I think Ashton Jeanty is probably, better than what the Raiders had last year. And he's at least Josh Jacobs caliber level. But Geno Smith, so there's a lot of things going in the mix here with this one, because Pete Carroll is going to want to run the football, but the Chargers are built to stop the run. We talked about that in a previous video. All of these teams are built to stop the run in the AFC West. So the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Broncos, and the Raiders are all built to stop the run. And Geno loves to throw. He's a ball slinger, so he loves throwing. So Pete Carroll's going to be one of calling runs. Geno Smith's going to want to throw the ball. I don't know who's going to win out there, but I do expect the Raiders to lose this game, even though I expect them to keep it somewhat close. And I do expect the Chargers to give them a tough time running on the ground. So I'm going to just take this. We took it under on Bijan last week. That worked out for us. All right, the bonus bet here. So whenever I have a bonus bet, you guys, this is the first one I've done on an NFL video, I think. That means it's plus money. So, it's unlikely to hit. The juice is saying that it won't hit. So you're getting plus money if you want to take it. I'm going with Garrett Wilson over 5.5 receptions. He had 7 in week 1 versus the Steelers. He had 8 and 7 in the head-to-heads against the Bills last year. And he had 5 and 2 in the head-to-heads against the Bills 2 years ago. Now, Justin Fields, obviously, not really known for his passing, but last year when he was on the Steelers, he hyper-targeted George Pickens, and George Pickens was able to clear this line in most of the games that he played with Justin Fields. And he had consistently, he had 7 to 9 targets a game, roughly, from Justin Fields. So I don't see any reason why Justin Fields would not target Garrett Wilson, who he played with in college, a ton. And, it's just a matter of whether Garrett Wilson brings them in. So there's no doubt in my mind Garrett Wilson's going to get like 8 or 9 targets in this game, which is where his targets line is set at. But it's just a matter of can he haul them in. And if so, we get some bonus like plus money on this one. So here is the summary of that. Chris Boswell and Jason Myers over 50.5 longest field goal. CJ Stroud over 63.2 completion percentage. Daniel Jones under 20.5 completions. Ashton Jeanty under 17.5 rush attempts. And then the bonus bets here, Garrett Wilson over 5.5 receptions. So let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know which players you like here and which ones you don't. And sorry for giving you 2 bad ones on Thursday night. One of them at least should have hit. The Josh Jacob one was just a swing and a miss. But yeah, and then we'll be back at it for, the big Sunday slate with any last minute player props that we have. Thanks, guys.